Hello, and welcome back to yet another video. This is the first episode of a story in which 10-year-old Naruto meets Minato from future and that turns Naruto's life upside down. As Naruto lives a happy life in which he is trained by Minato and later Kushina too. After you've finished watching, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. To begin, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Let's get the party started. Today was a day that a particular whiskered blonde would call a bad day. Although he studied hard and trained like there was no tomorrow, he wasn't able to graduate the academy earlier than his classmates. He didn't become a ninja because of his worst technique, the stupid Bunshine no Jutsu. He managed to get the lowest passing score required for kunai and shuriken throwing. He was great at average in taijutsu, below average in genjutsu. I finally managed to perform a decent hench to look like the Hokage, Dadabayo, and startlingly above average in the written potion. Given that intelligence was one of his worst points, ninjas are not bookworms. As soon as I become Hokage I will suppress the written part of the exams, Dadabayo. Surprisingly, he was ranked as the second best in the stealth test. It seems that the time that he spent pranking was not wasted. Being able to redecorate the Hokage monument without being caught, in an orange tracksuit no less, and evading several ninjas was proof of it. Speaking of the orange outfit, he needed to find out who kept giving him things for his birthday without his knowledge. Going back to the defiling the mountain, he didn't do anything wrong. He only added some words on the side of the Yondaime's head, space reserved for Uzumaki Naruto. He was going to be on that mountain someday, so he had every right to do that. What was he thinking about before that? Oh yeah, the stupid Bunshine no Jutsu that messed up his chances to become a ninja. Iruka-sensei said that it was too soon for him to take the test and that he should wait to take it with his classmates and work on his book knowledge. Then came the time after the exams, when the students exited the academy to meet their families. Those who graduated were being congratulated, while the four, aside from him, who failed the exam, were encouraged by their parents to try again another time. He didn't have anybody to cheer him up and tell him to try again next year. He only had the cold looks of the adults and children staying away from him. Not everyone shunned him though. The parents of Shikamaru, Kuji, and Kiba didn't scold them for being with him, so they were the closest thing that he had to friends. However, he could not avoid feeling envious when he saw them with their parents. He was so busy thinking about how awful his life was, while hanging on the swing in front of the academy, that he didn't notice that everybody had left, save for a man who was slowly walking towards him. Naruto noticed the shadow nearing him and he turned to see who it could be. A black hooded cloak covered the man almost entirely. Naruto could see that the man wore what appeared to be a semi-open jacket showing half of his chest, black pants and sandals. A lock of spiky yellow hair escaped the hood, drawing his eyes to the black mask covering half of the man's face, and a pair of blue eyes almost identical to his own. Looking back at the cloak, he noticed that its clasps had the leaf symbol, showing his alignment to Konoha. Unlike most of the adults he had encountered, the man's eyes didn't have a look of scorn and indifference. Instead they had a contradicting combination of joy and sorrow. "Hello, what are you doing?" said the man with kindness, something that Naruto had only experienced with the Sandaime. Nothing important," replied the boy nervously. He was not used to a stranger talking to him politely. "You don't look too well. Do you want me to push this swing?" asked the man. "Maybe it will put you in a better mood," he added in a somewhat hopeful way. Okay. This was the first time that somebody wanted to play with him. For the first time in a long time, Naruto was honestly speechless. The man then pushed the swing for 15 minutes. It didn't take long for Naruto to enjoy his new situation until the stranger abruptly stopped moving. "How about we play other games that we can do together?" asked the man happily. Naruto was excited. Not only did he meet an adult who didn't disrespect him, but the man wanted to play with him too. The next few hours were spent playing ball, hide and seek, and other games, until they noticed that the sun was setting. "Well," the man said, "you should go back home or your family will get worried about you." "Oh, that's not a problem," said Naruto with a forced smile. "I live on my own, so I can go back home whenever I like." Suddenly, the man radiated a killer intent that made Naruto almost pissed his pants. "Ungrateful bastards," he mumbled with hate while staring at the village. "You'll dearly regret this." He stopped when he noticed Naruto slowly backing away from him. "Oh, did I scare you?" "Sorry. I'm not angry at you, I'm mad at a group of traitors," the man said with an apologetic look in his eyes. You didn't scare me," lied Naruto as he calmed down. "By the way, what's your name?" "I'm Naruto Uzumaki, future Hokage of Konoha, believe it." Instead of mocking him, The man put a look of melancholy and seemed to smile underneath his mask. "Future Hokage?" he asked as he removed his hood and mask, showing a face of a rather young man with spiky blonde hair and blue eyes. "I could give you some tips and help you reach that position. As for my name, I have many, but my real name would be Minato Namikaze," said the man with a sad smile. Naruto was speechless. He looked at the man, then at the Hokage monument, then back at the man, then back at the mountain and finally back at the man, trying to process the idea that his hero was alive. "You're the Yondaime?" spluttered Naruto with a face that was a mix of confusion, surprise, fear, and a little bit of hope. "Yes, I am," he said with a fairly amused face. However, the man was secretly uneasy about the news that he was about to deliver to the child. "We were told that you died slaying the Kyuubi no Kitsune," said Naruto. "Was that a lie?" "No," Minato replied, shaking his head in what seemed like shame. "It was not a lie. I really died that day. I shouldn't be alive at this place and time, but I am, and this time I won't leave," he said with a determination and conviction that spread to Naruto. "Yeah," shouted Naruto excitedly. "Everyone in town will have a party to celebrate your comeback, and there will be a ceremony for you taking back the Hokage rank. All of my classmates will be jealous of me for being the first one to meet you, and there won't be a welcome back party for me," interrupted Minato with an irritated look. "I won't retake the Hokage seat as well. The villagers don't deserve me," he stated with barely disguised fury. "But, why?" Naruto asked, confused. "Being a Kage is a dream of many ninjas. It was also my dream a long time ago, but after what they did to you," Minato sighed as he looked Naruto in the eyes with a deep sorrow. "What they did to me?" repeated Naruto. "What do you mean by that?" Minato breathed slowly. The moment that he feared yet expected was coming. "Naruto, this is not the first time we met. We met on the day you were born, the 10th of October, 10 years ago," explained Minato with a sad smile. Naruto was again speechless as he listened to what the Yondaime was saying. "To me, you were the most wonderful baby in the world. You had your father's hair, your mother's beautiful eyes. You knew my parents? Please tell me who they were," exploded Naruto in such a way that made Minato's heart melt. "Naruto, my poor Naruto. I never imagined that you would feel so alone. Don't worry, my son, things will change, I swear it," Minato said to himself. It was now the time to tell him the truth of his parentage. "Your mother, she was..." Minato was unable to think of Kushina without pain and sadness erupting in his chest. "She was the most beautiful woman on earth. She was my son, my best friend, my twin soul, my love. And my wife," said Minato while trying to stop the tears in his eyes. Naruto was shaking with the emotions that he felt, fear, surprise, and pain, trying to comprehend what the former Hokage had just said. "Then that means that you are my..." The boy was unable to complete his sentence as tears started to form at his eyes. "Yes, Naruto, I am your father," said Minato with a small smile and sad eyes, getting closer to his son. The man's thoughts were filled with fear as to what could happen next. "Naruto, please don't reject me, give me a chance. I don't think I could live with myself if you didn't allow me to be your father." Naruto's world was drastically altered in less than 5 minutes. First, he discovers that the man that he wanted to surpass, his role model, his hero, was alive. Then he says that he is his. "Tosan?" whispered Naruto uncertainly. He choked back his tears and watched for the Yondaime's reaction. Minato's heart almost stopped. The words that he wanted to hear since Kushina told him that she was pregnant, was coming out of Naruto's mouth. "Son," whispered an equally teary Minato as he slowly opened his arms. "Tou-san," Naruto exclaimed as he rushed to his father's arms. Naruto was hugged by his father, for the first time since his birth. He cried for first time in 5 years. Daddy, I missed you. I felt so lonely," wept the boy between sobs. "Naruto, my son, my young hero, I swear that you'll never be alone again. I will be with you on your graduation day, I will give you the talk, I will meet your girlfriend, I will watch you in the Chunin exams, I will be in your wedding, and I will be with you the day that you become the Hokage. Best of all, we will be a family again." Unnoticed by them, behind a tree, a young girl saw the scene with a smile and tears in her pearl eyes. "Naruto-kun, I am so happy for you," she thought happily before leaving, not wanting to intrude on such a private moment. Naruto woke up in his room alone. He had an unhappy mood, thinking of what had happened. "I had one of those dreams again," he thought with a sad face. This wasn't the first dream he had of his family returning to him. Some of his dream scenarios had his parents surviving the Kyuubi attack, And in others they came back from a long-term mission. There was even one where the attack didn't happen and they lived together as a happy family. He loved dreaming them, but waking up in the cold, real world made him hate them, as they reminded him of what he didn't have. But the dream last night was definitely the most painful of all. It felt so real. The Yondaime Hokage, his hero, coming back from the dead saying that he was his father, the warm reassuring hugs, and the promise of never leaving him alone again. Enough, he thought. If the Yondaime really was his father, the old man would have told him, the people would have treated him with more respect, and he would have had a house, and fangirls, like Sasuke team. Unwillingly, he got up his bed. Not changing his clothes, he went to the kitchen to prepare a special ramen breakfast to cheer himself up. He decided not to go to the academy that day. He was not in the mood for boring lessons and cold glares at the entrance of the building. Then he noticed that something was not right in his apartment. The floor was without the used clothes that he left to be laundered and was completely mopped. Going to the living room, he also saw that the empty ramen packages that he left around the house were gone as well. Impossible. There was still a month left until his annual cleaning. The only explanation he had for this was that someone broke into his apartment and stole them. But who would steal empty ramen packages and clean the place they stole them from? There were also some boxes along the hallway, confusing the boy even more. Since when did thieves bring things into the household they stole from? He also noticed that someone was in the kitchen and tried to move as quietly as possible. Good, they were still there. He would show that intruders to mess up with his things. He entered the kitchen and saw the Yondaime. "Good morning, Naruto-kun. Did my precious son have a good rest?" asked a smiling Yondaime. While preparing breakfast, Minato thought about what had happened in the last few hours. The talk with Sarutobi finished better than he expected. He was able to convince the man that he was really the Yondaime, although the reasons of his return were hard to believe, even for himself. He spent almost all night watching his son sleeping, giving thanks for being with again. He looked so cute in his hippo pajamas. He thought, if Naruto went out walking through Konoha with it, people immediately would stop scorning him and the female population would fight to squeeze and hug him, thought Minato. Kushina would have drooled at the sight of him and, thinking about her, put him in a depressed state. No. I must stop having these thoughts every time she comes to mind. Our son needs to have a better life, not a man brooding for what he lost. I must remember the happiness we had and bring that happiness to Naruto, thought the ex-Hokage. That morning, he put his demi bunshines to clean the apartment. While he went to the kitchen to start making breakfast, Naruto is almost as messy as me when I was his age, quite normal for boys living without parents. But now that I'm here he should learn how to be more organized. As his thoughts dwelled on the similarities of Naruto's life and his previous life as a child, he sensed Naruto entering the kitchen and moved to face his son. "Good morning, Naruto-kun. Did my precious son have a good rest?" asked a smiling Yondaime. Before he could say anything more he was tackled by his son. "It's not a dream. You're real," shouted Naruto, trying to contain his tears. "You also had dreams of your family coming back, Naruto-kun?" thought his father with a sad smile, remembering his own childhood. Noticing that his son was trying to not cry, he decided to give the boy a few wise words. "Naruto-kun, a great ninja once said that there's nothing wrong with crying when you are happy." Who is that ninja, Yondaime? asked a slightly embarrassed Naruto while he wiped away his tears. "The greatest ninja of us all, greater than all the Hokages," said Minato proudly. "Also, Naruto, it would make me very happy if you could call me Dad or Tosan, even Daddy, just like yesterday," he continued. "Alright Jan, Tosan," said Naruto happily. Can you tell me more about the greatest ninja? I will do so later. Right now, we have a lot of things to talk about. You must have a lot of questions in your mind. I'll answer you while we have breakfast." Minato replied with a gentle smile. "What do we have, Daddy?" asked Naruto, remembering that he didn't have anything to eat since yesterday's breakfast. "The only thing I know how to cook," started Minato, a little embarrassed. Continuing his statement, he said with a huge smile, "The Uzumaki special ramen." "Yes," Naruto shouted, happily dancing around the apartment, to the amusement of his father. The two ate and talked enthusiastically about how wonderful the ramen was, and the types of ramen that they enjoyed eating. He has better table manners than I had expected," mused Minato. The real reason Naruto was not devouring the ramen like an Akimichi after a month of dieting was because he wanted to taste it slowly, wanting to remember the texture and taste of his first homemade meal. "Dad," Naruto's serious face made Minato cease his ramen consumption and listen to his son's imminent question, "Can you tell me about Mom?" Minato took a deep breath. got up from his chair, and headed to one of the boxes he brought from the Hokage's warehouse last night. After a short while, he came back with a framed picture and handed it to his son. It was a picture of a young woman who wore a black and orange outfit in a Hittite of Konoha. She was holding a kunai in what Naruto would call a cool ninja pose. One of her most striking features was her long red hair that reached her waist, but what really caught Naruto's attention was the fact that she had the same blue eyes as he. Her name is Kushina Uzumaki. She was a kunoichi with the ability to see the best of everyone. She was able to make friends with all types of people and turn negative thing around in a blink of an eye. Minato explained with a nostalgic look in his eyes. What I loved most about her was her heart of gold. She was always the first to come and help someone in need. She also hated injustice with a passion. If she found somebody who was bullied, she came to defend them, and then she encouraged them to defend themselves so they didn't have to rely on her. Also, Minato had a look on his face at this point. Kushina was unlike the usual kunoichi. While they trained to deceive their opponents in battle, she always tried to find the best way to beat them straight up. Instead of ambushing the enemies, she charged at them with frontal attacks. Instead of being quiet, she was loud, constantly catching everyone's attention. She was one of the least feminine women of the ninja nations, at least, until we became a couple. Minato chuckled lightly at that last bit. Yeah. Way to go, Mom, said Naruto happily. I wasn't complimenting her though. Thought Minato with a sweat drop. Do you have more pictures of her, Dad? Do you? Asked an anxious Naruto, eager to get as much information about his mother as possible. Of course, replied his smiling father. In less than a second, Minato disappeared, only to reappear with more pictures from the box. This was your mom and I on our first date. He hands picture after picture to Naruto as he continues his narration. This was when we went to the beach, this was her chasing the women who tried to flirt with me, and this one was her chasing me for letting those women go near me. Minato chuckled, clearly amused with the memory before his features softened again. He then handed Naruto a picture of Minato holding hands with Kushina. He was wearing the standard red and white Hokage robes, minus the hat. She was wearing a traditional wedding kimono. They were looking at each other with slight blush on both of their faces, which was complemented by their happy smiles. This was the day of our wedding. She looked like one of the most beautiful of the princesses. I was thanking Kami and all the deities in existence for letting one of their angels love me, Minato said softly before he handed over another picture to his son. This is one of my favorites. In the photo, Kushina was dressed in a beautiful maternity dress, seated on a chair while caressing her stomach with a dreamy smile and her eyes overflowed with happiness. I took it when she was alone at home, using the crystal ball in my office. Minato chuckled with a mischievous grin. She used to say that pregnancy was one of the most common things to happen to women in the world and that she didn't understand why women had changes in their attitudes, like getting soft and having mood swings. Wait, you used to spy on Mom, roared Naruto, pointing at his father with an accusing finger and an indignant look in his eyes. You're a stalker. That's not true. Defended a half-embarrassed Minato with his hands up as protection against his son's piercing stare. There's nothing bad about watching over the person you really love, it's proof that you care for them. Meanwhile, at the academy, one of the future kunoichi in Naruto's class sneezed. Are you alright, Hinata? Asked a concerned teacher. Why yes, I'm alright, Iruka-sensei, aforementioned girl said with a red face. That is reasonable, said Naruto. Yes it is, said a relieved Minato. This one. In the last photo, Kushina was shown wearing a hospital gown on a bed. Her exhausted face showed how much energy she spent just before the picture was taken. Yet her weary face still radiated joy, if her smile was any indication. Minato was looking down at a newborn Naruto with a hypnotized, spaced out, but just as happy, look on his face. This was taken the day you were born, said Minato sadly. We were going to start a family. As orphans, Kushina and I knew what you were going to need. You were not going to have the same past as us, but the Kyuubi incident happened. Naruto was not fully listening to his father anymore. He was looking at the picture with a fixed look in his eyes before turning to the other photos, looking at each one for a while until he found the photograph of Kushina caressing her belly. Kasan, he said, while he caressed his mother's face in the picture with tears coming out of his eyes. Then, as if some hidden switch was flipped, he broke down and started to cry relentlessly. Minato quickly hugged his son, who sunk his face into his father's shoulder. Let it all go, said Minato, trying to contain his own tears. Aikenoshi is in a better place, being happy for us not being alone anymore. 20 minutes later, Naruto cooled down and looked at his father embarrassed. Thanks Dad. Good. Replied Minato with a smile. The food I made is cold now. Why don't we go to Ichiraku for breakfast? I'll let you eat as much as you want. Minato grinned, foolishly unaware of the dreadful fate his wallet was to undergo by the mistake he just made. Yes. All can I eat ramen? Naruto shouted, jumping around the apartment, and making a lot of noise in the process. Stop making noise, you little monster. A furious voice from the floor below shouted. Minato's face went dark before it blanked out and exuded a shadowy aura. Slowly getting up, he put on his mask and cloak and headed towards the door. I'll be back in a few minutes. Wait here, Naruto. The now scary man Naruto calls his father said in a slightly tense manner. Naruto nodded, and a few seconds later, he could hear screams and violent noises coming from downstairs. 10 minutes later, the noises stopped and his father came back with his neighbor extremely beaten. The man's face seemed to have seen better days, both arms were bent in an unnatural way and he was missing half his teeth. Well, tell my son what you have to say, said Minato with a sweet voice. I'm very Zodai Naruto-sama, I'm an ungrateful bastard, I apologize for not being a better person with you. Please forgive me. The man apologized as well as a man could with a good number of his front teeth missing. Apology accepted? Naruto said, not exactly sure what to do in a situation like this. Good. The masked Minato said, now you will go to the Anbu headquarters and request a little punishment for disrespecting the Yondaime's memory. Minato smiled, though it was hard to tell with his mask on, and said slyly, or, you can refuse to go and then I can show you this convenient trick I know involving a spoon and a mouse. I'll go to the Anbu, I'll go to the Anbu. The man shouted hysterically as he rushed off. What were you going to do with the spoon and the mouse, Dad? Asked Naruto with a concerned look. Nothing harmful, Minato said with a far-off look, at least, not for the mouse. He added with a slightly sadistic smile. Dad, why did you put mask on for beating that guy? Asked a puzzled Naruto. The Yondaime looked at his son with a serious face under his black mask. Naruto-kun, have you wondered why this Yondaime never told you that I was your father? Naruto took a saddened face. Gee, San never told, he said that you and Mom died in the Kyuubi attack and that he would tell me about you when I were older. Tosan, why did he keep it from me? There were many reasons. First he made it for keeping you safe from my enemies, said Minato sadly. The other reason was to not start a fight between the families and clans of Konoha for your custody. Perhaps you don't know it, but we're a very rich family, with properties around all Fire Country, said proudly, but the true reasons for a fight would have been the scrolls with our family jutsus and techniques. What, are you saying that we have enough money to eat all ramen that I can? And that we have family jutsus that would start a fight between clans? Said an excited Naruto with starts in his eyes. Yes, said Minato rising the chin. And they even didn't know about our secret bloodline limit. What is a bloodline limit? Asked a confused Naruto. What does it do? Minato sweat dropped. He wanted to pass the exam without knowing it? Thought slightly embarrassed. I'll tell you another time, said with a sigh and turned more serious. Naruto-kun, until you don't get strong enough, we'll have to hide my true identity as the Yondaime. But don't worry, with the exclusive training method that I have thought for you, you'll be more powerful in a few weeks than most academy students. I warn you, it will be very exacting but it will make you the strongest ninja of Konoha. Yes Dad, don't worry, I will deal with anything you throw to me, I'll make you proud. Believe it, said a happy Naruto. I'm already proud of you my son, thought Minato. By the way, how are you going to hide your true identity, Tosan? Asked Naruto. Good question son, I'll never have enough of them calling me that, thought his father. This is what we are going to do. They spend the rest of the morning chatting, forgetting to go to Ichiraku's ramen. Iruka couldn't stop to think all morning about Naruto. Yesterday he almost passed the Jonan test but failed in the Bunshai Jutsu, not gaining enough scores for pass. Being such a good-hearted man, it was very painful to fail one of his students. It made him feel a bad teacher, especially after the hostility he had for the blonde boy at the beginning. Fortunately his duty as teacher overcome his hate, and later he saw that there was no way that the kid would be the fox that killed his parents. He planned to take the boy to ramen for cheering him up, but he didn't come to class. He took it worse than I expected, thought concerned. Okay, class, that's all for today, said. While the students were exiting the class he couldn't stop murmuring for himself. Naruto, what I'm going to do with you? Anyo. Iruka-sensei, hey, are you talking about? And Naruto-kun said a shyly voice. Iruka saw the shy Hyuga heir playing with her index fingers, obviously regretting the question. Iruka smiled at the girl. Yes, Hinata, I'm going to check why Naruto didn't come to class. P. Perhaps it is B because his father came back yesterday and... What, are you sure about you were saying? Said the teacher in a shock. Eek, the Shiras almost jumped for her teacher's reaction, obviously scared. Sorry Hinata-chan. I didn't want to scare you. Are you sure about what you were saying? Said him with a concerned look. Why yes, said the girl calming down. He was hugging a man while she crying of happiness calling the man To-san. She could not avoid to smile dreamily thinking about the father-son re-encounter. I could not see his face. I left B because I thought they needed to be alone. Before she could finish to talk the teacher rushed out of the academy heading to his student's apartment. He arrived to the building where his student lived and opened the door with a copy of the key that the Hokage gave him the day he found out that he invited Naruto to eat eventually. So that's the reason because I will wear this mask, Naruto, said a black-dressed man with matched cloak and mask. Yes, now I understand. He. Do you think I'm going to need one too? Said a smiling Naruto. Probably as soon as I start walking through the streets without mine. No people shouldn't enter others' houses without invitation said the cloaked man to Iruka. Iruka-sensei, said the happy blonde without noticing the glares between his father and teacher, I want to introduce you to someone. This is Arashi Uzumaki, formerly known as Arashi Kazama, my dad. He lost his memories in the Kyuubi attack and was wandering through the world and then, when he regained them, came back, he said triumphantly. Dad, this is Umino Iruka, my teacher, he also babysat me occasionally when he was a Jonin, Naruto said to his father. That last phrase only reminded Minato of the years of his son he lost forever, deepening the wound in his soul. Glad to meet you, Iruka-san, said Minato in a forced tone. Same goes for me, Arashi-san responded the Chunin in the same mood. Naruto, go to the stand without me, your teacher and I have to talk about some things, said the masked ninja. Okay dad, don't be late. Oh, Iruka-sensei, sorry for not coming today to class, said the happy Jinchuriki leaving the building, not noticing the tension between the two adults. Well, Iruka-san now that we are alone you can start with your questions, said Minato. He couldn't help but feel a mix of gratitude and resentment to the man before him, gratitude for looking after his son and resentment for taking the role of father figure that should be his. Said man stepped forward and before he noticed, gave him a punch to the face. Now the proportion of resentment was raising. How you dare to come back and act like nothing happened? Shouted a furious Iruka while he gave a punch to the gut, and after that punch, came another, and another. Minato didn't say or did anything while he received a beating at the hands of the teacher. You know what the kid you call son had to pass? Said Iruka with rage in his eyes. The masked man didn't say anything while he received another punch. Being shunned by the parents of the kids he wanted to play with. Ignored by the people, forcing him to do pranks to recall their attention, said sadly. Waking up alone in the mid of the night for a nightmare and not having nobody to comfort him said with flaming eyes. Those eyes. Are these the eyes that the Sun Daime saw in me? He started to laugh. Why are you laughing? Iruka grabbed the man by the mask with the left hand and gave him a punch with the other, sending him to the other side of the room leaving the mask in Iruka's hand. And why the hell you don't fight back? Yelled. I'm laughing because I'm happy to know that Naruto had you looking for him, said getting up and I don't fight back because I deserve the beating for what I did to my son, said Minato showing his face. You're the, then realization hit the teacher. Why you, sealed a fox in your own son, sacrificing your life? Yes, I did, said the Yondaime with a disgusted face, taking back his mask. As Hokage I couldn't take another child having my own, kids cannot demand to their subordinates something that they wouldn't do, said painfully. Iruka realized the nobility of the sacrifice that the man did, giving up his life and his son's happiness for a village that didn't respect his last wish. He felt dirty for being part of it and he also realized in horror that he tried to kill that man in an attack of anger and jealously. Hokage-sama, forgive me, said the Chunin kneeling before the Yondaime with tears forming in his eyes. I thought you left him all those years and then I saw him talking happily with you like nothing happened. I couldn't stand it. Iruka-san, I told you I deserved it, said Minato pulling out a paintbrush from his pouch. You must have a lot of questions for me, said while he wet the brush with the blood from his cheek. Then he discovered that Iruka was also an enthusiast of chained questions. Naruto knows that you are the Yondaime? How are you alive? What are you going to do? Are you going to be Hokage again? Asked a nervous Iruka. Minato answered the questions while drawing something in his mask. Yes, he knows that I'm the Yondaime. I'm not in the mood of telling again the history of my comeback so asked the Sandaime. I told him yesterday. And about your last question my response is no. I won't leave this filthy town after they did to my child, said with contained rage. I understand Namikaze-sama, said Iruka, remembering his name from the books. Minato Namikaze, the Ondaime Hokage, is dead, said the blonde man. He died the day that the Third's law was necessary to protect his son from the hate of those he saved. Then he put back his mask and continued talking. All that remains is Arashi Uzumaki, the father of the future Hokage. The mask had now 6 red whisker marks, thicker than Naruto's, made with his own blood. The day before, with the current Hokage, Sarutobi was not having a peaceful week. First of all, it starts with the defacing of the Hokage at the hands of Uzumaki Naruto. Well, it was funny, but the paperwork he had to make for relocate the ninjas responsible for the watching of the village during the Blonde's raid was hell. Now they were destined to D-rank missions that would show them to do their work. Then came the complaints of those fools who wanted the kid punished for that. However, they shut up when he showed them that it exposed the failures in the security of the village. The truth was that the stealth and deception skills of the blonde student were higher than most Chiyunins. No wonder that Dansu came asking to take him under his wing whenever he fooled the ninjas of the village. No, Naruto won't become one of those soulless tools of his old rival. He only needed to prove that the crippled man didn't disband Root to charge him for treason. But there was not way to catch him off guard. Then his grandson had the idea of taking his charge, defeating him. Hell, he even asked for a private teacher for make him a better ninja. Perhaps Ebisu would be a good choice. He made a good work as the onbu guard of the kid and was very fond of him, although he didn't prove it. This and the fact that he was a Jonin specialist teaching confirmed his decision. Yesterday came the academy exams. Naruto spent the week saying that he was going to pass it and start his race to become Hokage. Unfortunately, when Iruka came with a list of past students, Naruto was not among them. Perhaps if the proportion of stealth and deception for the Jonin exams were higher instead of the writing part, he would have passed, but this stuff was emphasized only in higher rank exams. It was then when everything messed up. Sarutobi was happy. He finished the paperwork before he expected, so he could spend the rest of the journey with one of his favorite pastimes, keep watch of the citizens of Konoha with his crystal ball. Especially female citizens. More especially those female who were in the public baths. Only to make sure that there were no perverts peeping, of course. But before that, he should check on Naruto. The boy must be depressed for not passing. Supporting his hands in the ball, he concentrated in the boy. What he saw left him surprised. The kid was playing with a masked man, probably a ninja according to his clothes. The most strange thing that was this man was not one of his men. Only a cloak brooch with the symbol of the Leaf Village suggested that he was from Leaf. He should send somebody to retrieve and interrogate this man. The man removed his hood and mask, revealing a face that he didn't expect to see again among the living. He couldn't hold back a tear after the touching scene. Then he saw everything in red. That man was impersonating the Yondaime. Not only that, but he knew that he was Naruto's father. And for add salt in the wound, he was playing with the feelings of the boy he considered a second grandson. Yamato, Boar, Crow, come here, shout while doing a jutsu that changed him into his battle suit. 3 figures materialized in the room. They couldn't help but feel fear for the amount of contained killing intent that their leader was radiating. Come with me to the academy, ordered his leader. Crossing the distance that separate the Hokage Tower from the academy in record time, they arrived to the scene. The boy didn't notice their presence, but the Yondaime doppelganger did. He pinched a point of the crying boy's neck, putting him to sleep. It's time to sleep, Naruto-kun. Now adults need to talk, whispered to the boy. Whoever you are, release the kid and come with us. Then you're going to come with us to see Aviki. Then you will explain to what were you going to do with him, and how the hell did you know that he was the Yondaime's son? Yamato and Crow, aka Ebisu, were shocked. First his leader takes, then they see the cubic container hugging a man who looks like their deceased hero, and then the Hokage saying that said hero was the boy's father. I'm the Yondaime, said the man in an authority voice, getting up, taking the sleeping child in his arms. I can prove it, old friend. Don't listen to him, Hokage-sama. It's a trick from the demon, yelled Boar, making the worst mistake of his life. Before he realized it, he was trapped in the 2 highest killing intents he ever felt. One came from the Hokage, furious with the future corpse, first for considering the boy a demon, and second for having the insolence for breaking his law before him. The second one came from the blonde man. His bloodlust was similar to the QB, worse considering that all was aim directed to him. In a blur of yellow light, the Yondaime was behind Boar, holding his son with his left arm and a blue ball of chakra in the right hand. He is not the demon, scum, shout, slamming the ball on his back, breaking his spine and causing tremendous internal damage to the stupid guy, destroying his ninja career forever. Yamato and Crow were too scared to do something, After seeing how the elite ninja was defeated by a ghost using two of Konoha's most powerful jutsus, Sarutobi looked at the shattered ex-Anbu with disgust, then to his ex-successor and formed a slight smile. "I believe you. Minato, why don't you come to my office and explain everything?" Minato smiled back. "It will be pleasure, Sarutobi-san. I'll be waiting for you there. Oh, and make sure that the pig keeps his mouth closed and receives a demotion if he survives," said, disappearing in a yellow light. "You too," said the Sandaime to the other Anbu. "Take him to the hospital and make sure he is under sedation until I say the opposite, and don't talk about this with anybody." "Hi," responded them in unison. Sarutobi arrived to his office to find his successor/predecessor sitting in his chair, caressing the hair of the sleeping child on his lap, not noticing his arriving. "Yes, it's him, now I have no doubt left, though the Hokage. How was his life, old friend? Was he happy in my absence?" asked Minato. Sarutobi sighed. He never thought that the day he would have to make explanations to Minato would come. "I would lie if I say you that he saw as the hero you expected him to be. In his first days many people wanted him to be executed, not believing that the seal was enough strong to contain the fox, others even though that he was the fox reborn in human form. Then I had a meeting with the clan heads and elders to decide the destiny of Naruto. Jiraiya and I chose to keep his true heritage and label him as an orphan to keep him and his inheritance safe from your enemies and clan schemes." Minato nodded with a growl. Sarutobi took care and continued, "Many clans wanted to adopt him, but only because they would have the power of the Kyuubi at his disposal. As you can suppose, it would have been worst if they knew who really Naruto was. Anyways, when Ura clan proposed to adopt Naruto, many others voted against it, so we could not reach to an agreement. Perhaps it can relieve you that many of them didn't want to adopt Naruto for what he has but for accomplish your wish, like the Ahumikas, Yamanakas, Naras and surprisingly the Hyuga branch house. They also know what it is having a cursed seal against their will," whispered Minato. "Finally it was decided that he would be an ordinary orphan and raised like one without special privileges. Then I created a law that forbids everyone telling the truth about the Kyuubi and Naruto or hurt him for that, so he would have a normal life." Then the Sandaime's features set in. However, although the law prevented the villagers to do anything to Naruto, it didn't stop them to forbid their children to be friends with Naruto, so he grew alone during his first 6 years. Sarutobi took a puff from his pipe. "I assigned an Anbu guard to him to make sure that nobody would hurt him, your student Kakashi, but he kept hidden all time for not interfering in his life. Don't worry, nobody tried to harm him, so Naruto never met him. After I realized that his life was not threatened, I reassigned Kakashi to normal Anbu missions, but he left the corp depressed and asked to be a Jonin again." Minato didn't say anything. Sarutobi continued. "I tried to see him as often as this job let me, but sporadic visits were not enough. Then he became a prankster to gain people's attention, and decided to become Hokage for being acknowledged. Then, he entered the ninja academy and made some friends, but it was not enough to cure him for his loneliness. Without anybody to help him at home and more interest in gain attention than studies, he barely passed the tests. Today he tried to do the Junon test, 2 years before his classmates, but he was unable to perform a decent bunshine, so he failed. Then you came back." Sarutobi stopped talking before the insane amount of killing intent that the Ondaime was trying to contain. He headed to window and released it against the unprepared village. The Inuzuka's dogs howled with desperation. The Abrahamis spent the rest of the day trying to stop their bugs from escape of their bodies. All babies woken up and started to cry. The non-ninja population suddenly freezed and the ninjas got on guard against an unknown enemy. "I have one last question," said Minato, calming down. "What convinced you that I am Minato Namikaze? The look in your eyes while you attacked that fool. There is no way to imitate the eyes of a man protecting his family," said a smiling Hokage. Minato looked at the Hokage. "I suppose now I must tell you why I'm alive, don't I?" "Yes, I still can't believe it. You were supposed to be trapped in the stomach of the god of death in a fight for all eternity," told Sarutobi. "Yes, I was," Minato sighed. "After I sealed the Kyuubi and Naruto," said with a guilty face, "I only had some seconds to say goodbye to him while I was feeling my soul sucked by the Shinigami. I lost conscience. I died," said, trying to put up with the memory. "Take your time, you can tell me it another day, when you feel better to do it," said Sarutobi, worried. "And no, I must take it off. I didn't tell the others when I resurrected and now I lost the chance." "The others? Who are the others, Minato?" asked Sarutobi, puzzled. "Patience, you'll know what I'm talking about," said Minato, and then continued his history more relaxed. "After I died, I wake up in a world ruled by the god of death. It was the place where those fighters who sacrificed themselves for the others or have a heroic death came after their deaths. Being the stomach of the god one of the entries, said Minato to a surprised Sandaime. "You were not condemned to an eternal fight as it was supposed to happen to everyone who used the Shiki Fuijin?" asked Sarutobi, completely shocked at Minato's revelations. Minato smiled and continued. "Opposing to what be though it was no hell, it was a place where the fighters could do for eternity what they are supposed to enjoy, fight without after effects." "Please, clear up what you were trying to say," asked Sarutobi, captive with Minato's history. Minato nodded. "During the day, we fought in an everybody versus everybody battle that longed all day. In those battles we could die, but at the night we came back to life and we had a banquet with infinite food and drinks. You can imagine what it was to the Akimikas who were there," said Minato, smiling. Sarutobi smiled back, imagining that if the living Akimikas took notice of that, they would ask the most dangerous ANS class missions. A shadow casted over Minato's face. During those parties, the loved ones of the combatants came from other paradises to join them. Kushina and never came to see me. She probably must hate me for what I did to her son," said, sadly hugging Naruto. Sarutobi didn't know what to say to console the returned hero. Minato waited a minute to clear up his mind. "However, I met some interesting people. I met some warriors of the West who called that place Valhalla. They were the only ones who didn't use to get surprised in their awakening in that world. I also met many heroes from the elemental nations, including Hatake Sakumo, the Sundaime Kazekage, and especially the Shadaime and the Night Daime." "You met them? How they were?" asked Sarutobi, like a child meeting his heroes. "They were deaf and as young as they look in the mountain. According to what they asked other ninjas of Konoha, they were very satisfied with your government of the village. They said that with your guidance Konoha became the most powerful and prosperous ninja village of all elemental nations while keeping the way of the peace." Sarutobi was relieved to know that his senseis were proud of him. All his life he had the doubt of not being good enough for his charge, although he was there more time than all their predecessors combined. "I'm the beginning. They didn't believe that I was the Yondaime. Only after I defeated them both and the word of other Konoha ninjas they believed me," said, enjoying the memory. Then he turned serious. "Whenever a Konoha ninja came, I asked him or her about my son. They always got surprised when I told them that Naruto was my son, but unfortunately none of them knew something significant about him. By the way, none of them hated him. It looks like only those who are able to value others' sacrifices and acknowledge other heroes are welcome there," said happily. "So not stupids there, eh?" said Sarutobi. Minato nodded and continued again. 3 years after my arrival, Hyuga Hisashi came. He told me the same history than you of the branch family trying to adopt Naruto. I thanked him for trying to care him, but I was relieved that the try of adoption never came to success. Naruto cursed with 2 seals and turned servant to a clan that slaves its own kind without even having the Byakugan? No thanks, better keep orphan and free." Sarutobi didn't say to Minato that he refused to give Naruto to the branch Hyugas although they got enough votes to adopt him. He also thought that Naruto was better alone. "I formed a team with Sakumo, Hisashi and the Hokages. I tried to recruit Hakimichi Kuzu, my old teammate from my Junon days, but he already was in a group composed of Naras, Yamanakas and other Akimikas." Sarutobi, at the though of the power of a team composed of such heroes, couldn't help but fell a little envious of Minato. "We became one of the most powerful teams of the Valhalla, or Kingdom of the Warriors, as was called by us, Easterns. The 5 next years was a succession of victories and parties. If only Kushina would have come. One day we were shocked by the arrival most of the Uchiha ninjas." Sarutobi nodded. "Yes, the Uchiha massacre. Itachi, the greatest genius of the clan in many generations, one day went ballistic and killed all his clan minus his little brother, Sasuke," said the Sundaime. Suddenly Minato started to radiate another insane amount of killer intent, interrupting the Sundaime, and spoke with venom in his words. "Itachi was not alone the day he murdered his family," said Minato with such a look of eternal hate that for a moment he looked scarier than the fox demon. "He had the help of a man who used the power of his cursed Sharingan to make the Kyuubi attack Konoha, the man who founded Akatsuki, the man who will use them to hunt down Naruto and the other Jinka Urikis." Minato's rage raised. In Konoha people started to look frightened to the Hokage tower, the man who fought the Shadaime in the Valley of End, the man who should have been death, the man who destroyed my life, the man I'm going to kill, Uchiha Madara. Sarutobi was speechless. Madara? Alive? It was completely unbelievable, but the fact that Minato was alive and talking to him made it possible, and he felt fear. The pieces were starting to fit. Madara indeed had the power to control such a demon as the Kyuubi, and the power to kill the strongest clan of Konoha without the rest of the city noticing, and the power to handle that new group of S-class criminals that had Orochimaru and Itachi among them, according to Jiraiya's reports. Minato used relaxation exercises to calm down while Sarutobi assimilated his words. The people of Konoha calmed down too. Now what I tell to you will surprise you as much as my last revelation. Please, don't interrupt me, said Minato. Sarutobi nodded, preparing himself to the most bizarre part of the fantastic history of his successor. 4 years later, after the Uchiha massacre. It was 2 years ago, interrupted the Sandaime. I told you not to interrupt me, you'll understand in the end, said Minato. Sarutobi blushed like a kid receiving a reprimand. Minato continued. 4 years after the Uchiha massacre, one day the Shadaime and Nidaime disappeared and came back several minutes later with you and a lot of leaf ninjas. Sarutobi was frozen in the chair. Orochimaru formed a new village, Otogakure no Sato, to attack Konoha with the help of San after tricked them to join him. He used a forbidden jutsu Kushios, Edo Tensei, to bring back to life the Shadaime and Nidaime as his slaves to kill you. You defeated them with a Shikifu Ujin, dying in the process and coming back with them to the kingdom. The look on Sarutobi's face was indescribable, but his was a very normal face when you are told how you are going to die and you believe it, Minato continued. After that, I started to work in a seal to prevent that abominable jutsu to work with us. It was supposed to stop the reviving and mind control, however we didn't have any way to test it, so I didn't have any guarantee of it to work. The answer came 5 years later. Don't worry, I'm near the end of my story. Continue, please. However, I think you're leaving a lot of details for yourself in your history, said Sarutobi. Yes, I am. I'm trying to give you a summary version of my history. I'll fill you with details during the talks that we'll have in the future, said Minato. And things like Asuma's and Jiraiya's deaths are preferred not to be told but must be done in order to prevent them, though Minato, although I wouldn't mind killing Jiraiya myself. 5 years later, Madara tried to use Edo Tensei to bring me back as a slave to defeat Naruto, who was 17 years old. Minato felt a chill in his spine remembering his encounter with his son after 17 years separated, only to fight him. The seal didn't stop the jutsu, however the jutsu resulted altered by the seal. Instead of reviving me as an indestructible slave, it resurrected me as a mortal free man. I joined that adult Naruto in the battle against Madara to his surprise, obliging him to flee. Minato thought again of the meeting with the man that Naruto would become with tears in his eyes. He didn't hate me for what did to him, despite the suffering it caused him. He felt honored for being the chosen one to carry the Kyuubi. Minato wiped the tears on his face and continued, smiling to the sleeping child. When I told him that I did it because I was his father and couldn't use another child, I thought he was going to hate me. But he hugged me and cried like he did today. He was so happy of having his father back after the losses he had those years. Yourself, Sasuke, Jiraiya, Iruka, said Minato. What happened to them? Asked the Hokage. I'll tell you another time, don't worry, we'll prevent them, told Minato. However, I don't guarantee that Jiraiya will keep unharmed, though. I spend the next months with that adult Naruto, getting to know ourselves. He told me how was his life, but he prevented to tell me all the truth. That's why I asked you before. After Jiraiya's death, he was appointed as the next Toad Sage. That title and his heroic achievements for the village during his ninja career gave him the acknowledgement that he pursued all his life. The discovery that I was his father increased his popularity to the clouds, so Tsunade could appoint him as her future successor in a few years with almost no opposition. Tsunade will be the Godime? Why did she come back? Asked a surprised Sarutobi. Naruto's doing, said a proud father, then his face darkened again. Then Madara came back with the remaining Akatsukis. They kidnapped Kakashi and stole his Sharingan. Containing his fury, Minato continued. Kakashi was able to evolve his Sharingan to a new level, the Mangekyou Sharingan. However, his was different than Itachi's or Madara's. He gained it with hard work instead of killing and best friend. It had different appearance and powers than theirs, especially the ability to open breaches in the space-time, sending things to other dimensions. Kakashi will be able to gain that mastery although not being an Uchiha. Impressive. Though the Sandaime. I almost finished my story. Madara used Kakashi's Sharingan against me, then I used my own space-time jutsu to trying to escape of the vortex he created, the Sunshine no Jutsu. The Sandaime, who was not called the professor for nothing, realized everything. I lost conscience. Later, when I woke up, I was in one of the forests that surrounded Konoha. You will see the traces of a space-time jutsu if you go there with the appropriate tools. When I headed back to Konoha, I realized that it was not same Konoha where I came back to life. Tsunade's head was not in the mountain. I realized that I came back in time, far away from the battle with the Akatsuki, far away from the sun that forgave me, and I was starting to know. Sarutobi suspected how was going to end the story. In despair, I wandered by the village concealing, trying to figure a way to come back. Minato looked at Naruto and smiled. Then when I saw him, my child needing me, I realized that I didn't need to come back, my son was here. Not only that, those who died were still alive, we can save them, we can make a better world where you'll meet Asuma's son, a world where Naruto and I will have our new chance, not only us but everyone as well, said while he hugged his sleeping son with tears in his eyes. Another grandson, though Sarutobi dreamily, I won't let Orochimaru steal me the chance to meet him. Sarutobi kept thinking for a while and spoke with a smile, welcome back to Konoha, Minato, with you and your knowledge of the future, now everybody can sleep better, said happily. Thank you for your trust, however I brought with me proofs that I come from the future, said Minato relieved. By the way, Sarutobi removed the Hokage's hat and offered it to Minato. Are you going to take back your old position? Minato looked at the hat thinking, in Sarutobi's mind a pile of paperwork with wings was moving away from a chibi Sarutobi without the hat doing a happy dance. Then Minato started to laugh wildly, signaling the Hokage with the finger. Ha, 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 ha. That's the best joke I ever heard. Thank you, Hokage-sama, I needed it. In Sarutobi's mind the Hokage's hat landed in Chibi Sarutobi's, then the poor Chibi Sarutobi was crushed by the pile of paperwork. Definitively it was not a good week. Tucci and Ayame were having an ordinary day when their favorite customer, and main income source, came more happy than usual. Hello G-san. Hello Ayame-chan. 3 bowls of miso ramen please, said the happy blonde. You look specially cheerful today, Naruto, so. You managed to pass the graduate the academy? Asked the cook. No, I couldn't but something much better happened, responded the kid. He. You'll see later, said with a foxy grin. The cook started to prepare Naruto's order immersed in his thoughts, trying to figure out what would make Naruto so happy after failing the test. After years feeding the kid he managed to see through his mask and differentiate between the true smiles of Naruto and the fake ones that he usually wore. Your order is ready Naruto-kun, said Ayame, also intrigued for Naruto's behavior. Can you give us a little hint, please? Said using the dreaded puppy eyes no jutsu. It is related to a person I met yesterday, you'll see him soon, said Naruto, starting the miso carnage in the bowl compound. Minutes later, when Naruto almost finished his third bowl, 2 persons arrived, one was a Iruka and the other was a man they never saw. Ayame couldn't help but blush after taking a look to the eyes and half-exposed muscles of the masked man. Tucci noticed it and though complained the Hokage about forbidding exhibitionism in ninjas. Hello Dad. Hello Iruka-sensei, said Naruto, then he proceeded to introduce his father to the shocked cook and blushing teenager. Tosan, these are Tucci and Ayame, the best cooks in the world, said pointing to them. Old man, Ayame-chan, this is Arashi Uzumaki, my father, he recovered from the amnesia he had after fighting the fox and he came back yesterday. Glad to meet you Tucci-san, said Arashi, offering his hand to the cook with a visible smile under his mask with red whiskers. Glad to meet you too, said Tucci with a forced smile, squeezing the man's hand as much as he could. Glad to meet you Ayame-chan, said to the blushing girl, making her get more redder. Naruto didn't told me that you were so cute, said with a smile, making the poor girl to faint. What happened to her? Is she ill? Shall we took her to the hospital? Asked a confused Arashi, proving that sometimes he could be as clueless about the beautiful gender as his son. It's nothing, she didn't slept well last night and she is tired, responded the cook, hiding his fury for that imposter, who dared to say those things to his daughter before him. Can you help me to carry her to her room, please? Our house is behind the bar, asked Tucci with his forced smile. No problem, said Minato, noticing the fury of the man. Iruka also noticed him but a gesture of Arashi told him not to intervene. Naruto was so busy with his ramen to take notice. Minato and Tucci took the girl to her room, then when they were in the hall Minato stopped, still with his back to Tucci. Okay, Tucci-san, why did you take me here? Asked Arashi. The cook, with the speed of a Chunin, took hold of the other man from behind and leaned a knife to Arashi's neck. Who are you, imposter? Said the cook with a menacing tone. There's no way you can be Naruto's father. Why did I cause such a bad impression to everybody who is fond of Naruto? Though the X-Gage? I'm his father, I'm not impersonating anybody and... Shut up, liar, I knew his true father and his mother too, how you dare to use her surname. Of course, Kushina and I always came here when we started dating. He realized Naruto's true identity. Tucci must believe that I'm still deaf. Before the poor cook realized, he and Minato switched positions and postures and he was then the one being held from behind with the knife near his neck. How? Asked confused. I call it the enhanced Kawarimi, one of my new jutsus, It's a version of the Kawarimi that switches my position and posture with my own opponent, an upper jonin jutsu, said Arashi in a friendly tone. Minato retired the knife and released the confused man. You must really appreciate my son if you dare to attack a ninja. Now tell me, when did you realize that I, Minato Namikaze, was his father? Said removing his mask. Hokage-sama, how? Babbled Tucci. It's a long history, but yes, I'm alive again. You should talk to the Hokage to get more details. Go with Iruka, he also knows who I am. Tucci stared speechless to the Yondaime, took breath and started to talk. It was not too hard to figure out that you were Naruto-kun's father. You were always hanging out with Kushina in your later teens. The way you looked at each other was like I used to look at my wife. Only a blind and deaf man wouldn't see that you were in love. Then you became Hokage and you or her started to come alone to get takeaway orders. Months later she was pregnant and with a wedding ring. When I asked her who was the man, she said that he married Arashi Kazama and... Wait. Naruto didn't call you Arashi? Minato/Arashi nodded. Arashi Kazama is an alias I created to do A and S class missions myself when I became Hokage. I used to left a clone in my office while I took the missions. I married Kushina with that name to keep her safe from my enemies while she was pregnant with Naruto. We planned to make our marriage public when Naruto would be born. But you know what happened, said Minato sadly. Tucci, who also knew it was the losing of a wife, decided to continue his history. Well, she said that she was going to introduce me as husband when the baby would be born. I couldn't understand how she could have a son with another man, leaving you and you not being affected. Then the fox came and you both died. The Sandaime then introduced Naruto to Konoha and told us to see him as a hero as your last wish. Tucci stopped before the fury that the scorned hero was calming down, then said man asked him to continue. One day I came to the restaurant, a blonde little kid who called himself Naruto Uzumaki, and I realized it. The only man with that yellow spiky hair in Konoha was you. It was obvious that he was your son. The fact that you used him for the ceiling ratified my suspect when I recalled that one day you said that a leader wouldn't ask his subordinates something that he wouldn't do himself. If you didn't choose to be a cook you could become a great ninja, Tucci, said Minato, hitting again his face with the mask. Now go back to the stand, I'm starving. Of course Namikaze-sama, I'll make you my best recipes, responded the cook with a bow. Call me Arashi Uzumaki. When Naruto would be strong enough to fight Chiyunins and Jonins I'll reveal my true identity and cut some heads, though. They came back to the stand with Naruto and Iruka. Then Minato ordered 5 bowls while Naruto asked for another one. Fortunately for them there were no more customers in the stand, so Minato could have his food without problems. I must ask Kakashi how he manages to eat with the mask. Naruto said to his son, unfortunately we'll have to cut our visits here. Ask your father. I have the duty to feed you with more nutritious food like vegetables, and you'll only drink milk until I say so. You have to gain more height and muscles. And Naruto realized that having a father wouldn't be as good as he figured and started to complain. But Dad, ramen is the best food of the universe. I always eat ramen and I was never ill, unlike the other children, and I never was bad nourished. And Tucci saw the threat that his business was facing and came quickly with an idea. Wait, Uzumaki-sama. You can give the list of food you like for Naruto and I can make new recipes of ramen using it for the ingredients. I guarantee you that they will be extremely nutritious and delicious, said with a smile that looked like he had a portion of watermelon in his mouth. Yes. That's reasonable. Okay, I'll give you the list tomorrow, responded the man. And Naruto, the only reason that you never were ill it's because one of the features of our blood limit, said to his son. You have a blood limit? Exclaimed a surprised Iruka. Why, I was not informed. As his teacher I have to know those details about my students. Dad, you told me this morning what are blood limits but not what ours do. What does it do? Tell me, exclaimed Naruto with stars in his eyes. Well, the main reason that our bloodline is unknown is because our family chose to keep it secret to protect it. Another reason is that outside Konoha there are many places where those who are born with special abilities are seen as monsters and are a special target for the ninjas of those zones, Minato recalled when he met Zabuza and Haku in the other world. I'll show you what it does. He took a kunai and made a cut in his hand. What are you doing? Exclaimed Iruka horrified. You must treat it immediately. Don't panic, look at it better, you can see how it is healing, said Minato. The teacher and the cook looked fascinated how the masked man's wound was closing itself. 5 minutes later the cut was completely healed, without scar. Then Iruka realized that Minato didn't show any signs of the beating he gave him while eating without his mask. Then said man spoke. This bloodline doesn't have a name, just for keeping it secret. Our body heals itself more faster than usual. We can recover any non-mortal wound in a night of sleeping. Minor wounds only last hours or minutes, and the best of all is the fact that it is a perfect healing. We don't get scars or any other negative sequels from the wounds we get. That means that we can't get crippled, so as long as we survive we will able to go back to active duty in a few days. In fact, we can regrow lost parts of the body in a few weeks or days. Obviously we didn't measure how much time takes each part of the body to regrow. It doesn't mean we are immortal. Wounds are as dangerous for us as for the other ninjas. A stab in the heart or in the head can kill us without problem. We can bleed to death as other ninjas. We also feel as pain as any other human, but we endure it better, said the Namikaze to his audience. Iruka was immersed in a storm of deaths. Naruto's healing powers are part of a blood limit. Not the Kyuubi's doing. The doctors of the academy mistook a powerful bloodline for the need of the fox for survive healing his vessel. It also make us immune to almost all diseases, and only the most powerful poisons can kill us, the rest only make us feel a little ill. As weaknesses, well, it doesn't work as good as always if we suffer chakra exhaustion or severe massive damage. Oh yes, sometimes it can react to foreign hostile chakra, making it work much faster but making it weaker for a few days later, said before being interrupted by his son. Do you mean that the other people doesn't heal with a night of sleeping? I thought it was normal. What made you think that people heal completely in a night of sleep? The other students need some weeks of recovery when they broke their limbs, but when you did, you were next day as good as new, said Iruka. Well, in RPGs people only need to spend a night in the INN, and in mangas many of the heroes recover very fast. Nobody told me that usually wounds lasted more than a day, said the boy with a smile and his hand behind his head. Iruka felt the reproachfully stare of the ex-Kage for not explaining his son the difference between reality and fiction. Well, said Minato interrupting his glare, applying to Naruto. Your bloodline was already discovered by the medics, but it was mistaken for other thing. Iruka knew what was he referring to. Next week I'll have an appointment with the Council of Elder and the representatives of the clans and explain them about it. Perhaps I'll have to make some demonstrations of it, our family jutsus and my skill level, so we will be able to establish ourselves as the Uzumaki clan, said Minato. Wow, a clan. I can't wait to tell it tomorrow in the academy, said Naruto. Sorry son, but for the next 2 weeks I'll be giving you a special training for improve your skills. Then, after those weeks, you'll train with me all evenings. I warn you it will be brutal, but the way for the Hokage is a hard one. On the good side you'll have immediate results. In a few months you'll surpass your classmates. Is it alright Iruka-sensei? I can take my son for 2 weeks without any problem, can't I? Said looking to the teacher. Oh, of course there is no problem. Clans can take their children to give them clan training, responded Iruka, not wanting to contradict the other man. Good. Naruto, do you want to start the training now? I'll show an amazing kick-ass jutsu, said to the kid. Yes, let's start training, Dad, jumped Naruto. Okay, surround your arms around my neck and hold as much strong as you can. I'll use a special jutsu for bring us to the place where we're going to train. Iruka, you pay the bill, said while his son embraced him as he told. Before the teacher could say anything, father and son were surrounded by winds making Minato's cloak flutter. With a jump they left the place, flying. Iruka and Tucci were frozen in the place while they watched the pair flying away. Same happened to several villagers who saw them. Many of them headed to tell the Anbu while others went to the hospital for being treated for hallucinations. I think we should have a talk with the Hokage, said Iruka. Why yes, but first pay, responded the other man. I thank Tenten-sama for the flower. Don't worry, I like long reviews and know all the opinions of the readers. Now the pace of the story will increase from the next chapter. Minato and Naruto landed in one of the training fields near the forest. Before the Yondaime could say anything, Naruto bursted out. You can fly. How do you do it? Are you going to teach me? Tell me. Calm down Naruto, said Minato, almost surprised by his son's hyperactivity. I can fly because I use some special seals, placed on my cloak, and advanced wind manipulation, said while he focused some chakra to his cloak making said seals visible. Then he turned serious. I'm sorry, but I can't teach it to you. Yet, it's a high jonin technique that requires high chakra reserves, very good elemental manipulation, only available to those with wind affinity, and finally knowledge of Funjutsu to create the cloak. So until you don't get the knowledge of sealing and the level of elemental manipulation of a jonin, you wouldn't be able to learn it. It would take decades for a normal ninja to have the requirements of this technique, but with the training I'm going to give you, you'll be able to learn it in 3 or 4 years. Naruto had stars in his eyes, paying more attention to his father's words than a new recipe of ramen. How are you going to train me, Dad? asked. While we're training you'll refer to me as sensei, Naruto nodded, and for your training it will revolve around a very special technique, the Kage Bunshin no Jutsu and. But to sensei, Bunshin are my worst jutsu, I can't create a healthy looking one, complained Naruto. Minato knew the problem from the Naruto he met in the future and smiled beneath his mask. These are not the ordinary Bunshins that are taught in the academy, they are not illusions, they are true copies who can fight and have the same strength, speed and abilities than you, that means that they can use the same jutsus as you. But their strongest advantage is that you get all the memories of the Bunshin when they are dispelled, whatever the clone learns you will learn it as well, so if you put 10 Bunshins training for a day, when they are dispelled you'll get the benefits of 10 days of training. Naruto was speechless, it was possible? However, this jutsu has many drawbacks. First, the Bunshin is dispelled by a strong impact, so if you are not well versed in taijutsu and dodging, don't use them to charge your enemy. Second, this jutsu consumes a huge amount of chakra, and the chakra you have left will be divided among the Bunshins. That means that if the user doesn't have enough chakra left in his body after performing the jutsu, he can die from chakra exhaustion. That's the reason this jutsu has been labeled as a forbidden jutsu only available for high jonins and up. Don't worry, you have the chakra reserves of a rookie jonin, you won't have to care for that weakness, said Minato. I have the chakra of a jonin? Why nobody told me? Asked a confused Naruto. Well, nobody measured your chakra, it is something that jonin senseis are appointed to do to determine what to teach their students when they become jonin. That's also the reason why you are unable to create a single Bunshin. With your low chakra control you put in the jutsu such amount of chakra that you literally kill the clone. The chakra control exercises they taught you are good for students with the chakra of a student, but not for you. They should have taught you more advanced chakra control exercises like tree climbing or water walking, but those exercises require a chakra level not frequent in academy students, so Iruka never thought about them teaching to you. If he had, you would have passed the test yesterday. For a moment Naruto looked depressed but then cheered up. So that means that I'm not a bad student, they didn't give me the proper training, said smiling. Yes, you are bad in ninjutsu because they taught you bad in that area, but you must improve in the other areas, like taijutsu, throwing, genjutsu and academic knowledge. If you were better in them you could have passed. It's a shame that book knowledge is more valued for Jonin and stealth and deception, but those areas where you excel are more valued for higher ranked ninjas like Hanbu or Jonin. However, when you graduate, you'll have it easier to access those ranks than your classmates, told Minato. Naruto was a little embarrassed for his father's words, but happy knowing that his abilities will be better valued once he graduated. Tell me jutsu. I'll start the clones doing push-ups and, he was interrupted by his father. No, the clones don't pass you the physical training, that's something you must train your own. Well, this is how the jutsu works in the hand seal. They spend the rest of the day working with the jutsu until sunset when Naruto finally was able to create 20 clones after many failed attempts. Yada. Look how many I created to sensei, said Naruto happily making a victory dance with his clones cheering. The training for today has finished, son, said Minato removing his mask. You can call me dad again, you have mastered a B-rank kinjutsu for jonins in an evening. You can't realize how proud I am of you, said hugging Naruto. Tauzan, said Naruto dispelling the clones and hugging him back. Before his father realized, Naruto was sleeping in his father's arms. Well Naruto, tomorrow your real training begins, sleep well, said kissing him in the forehead. A week later Minato was heading to the Hokage tower, flying slow and with low altitude thinking about Naruto's progress last week. The multi-clone training method worked like a miracle and Naruto soon was able to do the tree climbing exercise and the water walking. Then they spent the rest of the week training without clones and taijutsu, using weights to improve Naruto's strength and speed. They also started the new diet with more vegetables to Tuchi's wallet happiness. Naruto was now in Kakashi's house. He still couldn't believe his student's reaction when he met him again. At least until he told him that he was Naruto's father and that he met his. Yesterday he told Naruto about his return, like the Hokage did to Iruka and Tuchi. Then Naruto told him that there must be another reason why Kushina didn't come to see him, she couldn't hate him. He also knew about the impact that the return of the demon's vessel father will be for the unprepared people of Konoha. The villagers were scared to hell by the killing intent he displayed the day he returned. Then there were reports of Naruto Uzumaki hanging out with a flying man who was soon nicknamed as the Black Angel, not a bad name, in fact he was going to use it. He ignored the surprised villagers while he landed in front of the Hokage tower. A Chunin guard headed to him. State your name and business, said the man trying to keep his cool. Arashi Uzumaki, responded emphasizing his surname. I have an appointment with the Hokage and the council. People started to look at him with whispers and murmurs, while he waited his escort to the meeting room. So this is what you have to cope daily, Naruto. Though with his blood boiling now things will start to change. A trio of villagers composed of an ugly man, a young fat woman and an old hag who were giving him especially nasty looks suddenly had an Arashi clone on their side. Same happened to other groups of villagers with bad looks. You must be wondering if I'm Naruto Uzumaki's father. Yes I am. Any problem? Asked the clone, displaying enough focused killer intent to paralyze a tiger. The old hag had a heart attack, the ugly man pooped himself and the fat woman fainted. Similar scenes happened to the other groups of villagers who dared to give him dirty looks. You should take the old lady to the hospital, said to the scared man, and ask them for some adult diapers, said, stopping his killer intent. Many of those villagers who didn't give him dirty looks, and didn't receive a clone, started to laugh at the scene while the rest took note of "Don't tease the masked man." Yamato and Crow appeared at the scene, and bowed to Arashi like he were the daimyo, to the shock of the people. "Uzumaki-sama, we were sent to escort you to the meeting room." They looked at those villagers who felt his wrath, then they looked at him. "Well, at least you didn't kill them like you did to the other Onbu," said Crow jokingly, trying to play down the importance of the matter. "No ungrateful bastard mess up with my son and lives, I swear it on the wish of the Yellow Flash," said Arashi menacingly. The villagers understood the message. Many of them felt ashamed for their attitude, while others were so scared of the man to feel anything but fear. Arashi got into the tower and headed to the council room. The Hokage, the elders and the clan heads were there. Most of them looked at him with indifference, while others like the Ukimikas, Yamanakas, Naras and Inazukas with curiosity. He headed to the Hyuga clan head in a cheerful tone. "Hisashi, long time no see you, my friend. I finished to develop the jutsu we were working and..." "Wait, you are not Hisashi," said, looking to his forehead. He spoke in a more serious tone. "You are Hisashi, his twin brother in the main family, don't you?" Since his brother's death 7 years ago, nobody mistook him for Hisashi. The memory of his brother still bothered Hisashi, so it was taboo talking about him in his presence, and then that man who claims to be the Uzumaki brat's father comes in acting as an old friend of his brother. "Yes, I'm Hisashi," said, maintaining the composure. "How did you know my brother Uzumaki-san?" asked in a suspicious tone. "We made some missions together, and some sparring matches, then we became friends and started to develop a special jutsu and..." "Hyuga-san, Uzumaki-san, we didn't come here to gossip about old times. We came here to test Uzumaki-san's abilities to see if he is powerful enough to establish a new clan in Konoha with the rights and privileges that it entails," interrupted Koharu. "I have enough power to wipe you all, old mummy, though Arashi." "Well, let's start," said Homura. "According to the Yondame's files, you are a special ninja with who was specially trained for A and S class missions. In fact, you took all the 8 S class missions that happened of the Yondame's mandate and half the A class," said, impressed. Soon the room was filled with whispers and murmurs, with people looking at him at disbelief. Minato smiled beneath his mask. He created Arashi Kazama when he became Hokage and discovered that the ninjas who took the higher rank missions would have better payment than him, while he was going to spend the rest of his career doing paperwork. During those missions he left a clone in his office doing the paperwork and other boring tasks. He didn't expect that he would be now Arashi at full time. "I want order in the room. We are not in a beauty salon, this is the Council of Konoha," said the Sandaime with authority. People shouted up. Homura continued. "Let's see, according to this file you lost your memory in the Kyuubi attack 10 years and you were wandering through all the world until you got it back and returned. It's that true?" asked the old man. Arashi nodded. Then he explained to the council some of the things of the West that he learned from the warriors in the other world for verify his story. "Well, here's a medical report describing your bloodline as an enhanced form of healing that left no after effects and lets you heal any wound in less than 24 hours. It also says that you are immune to all common diseases and poisons." "Yes," responded Minato, "there's no way that I or my son finishing like that guy," said, pointing to Dansu. Said man ignored the insult and directed a question to Arashi. "That sounds impressive, but that bloodline only looks useful in the aftermatch. It won't give you any advantage in a combat," said mockingly. Some counselors agreed with him. "First gate, open," shouted Arashi. The chakra overwhelmed the room. The counselors were speechless. "Second gate, open." The bugs of Shibiabarame started to revolt. Said man had to use all his will to keep them in line. "Third gate, open." Kuromaru was trying to escape the room, trying to dig a hole in the wall. "Fourth gate, open." The weaker counselors pissed themselves. Arashi headed to Dansu without closing the gates. "My blood limit lets me use the gates without risk to my health. For me this is still a risky technique but not a forbidden one. As a drawback, my boot limit only lets me open only half the gates. The others are impossible for me, explained before closing them. Very impressive, said Koharu, looking that Arashi didn't look wounded or fatigued after that display of power. Okay, said Sarutobi, I agree to establish the Uzumaki as a new clan in Konoha. Welcome to the council. Meet us tomorrow afternoon in Coliseum to test your skills and techniques so we will determine your ninja rank. You can left, said Sarutobi, keeping his neutral attitude but glad for Minato's performance, letting those full sweating. Many of the counselors started to speculate what sort of challenges they should prepare for the ninja. Wait a minute, said one of the elders, how can we give a seat in the council to someone who we barely know and didn't prove his loyalty to Konoha? Were the man's last words. Before anybody noticed, Arashi was before the man Radiation FG, the same killer he displayed in his return but now focused completely on the poor fool. I proved my loyalty to this ungrateful village when I offered my son 10 years ago to save your miserable life. The village still didn't prove itself worth of it, said, looking at the man with a look that would scare the QB himself. The poor idiots fell to ground, death, killed by fear. It looks like there's another vacant in the council. We'll meet tomorrow, said Arashi, jokingly leaving the room. Special report, why the healing is a blood limit. The QB is asleep most of the time in his cell, so there's no way that the healing being an active process by him. Also, he wouldn't bother to heal minor cuts and non-lethal wounds. If the QB would be able to heal Naruto, it would mean that he would have the capacity to modify Naruto's body against his will, so he could cause him pain for obey his commands. The healing is not a power of the QB's chakra. In the last chapters of the manga we see that this chakra is tremendously harmful for everyone, including Naruto. The fact that the blonde is able to bear it supports the theory of the healing as a power of Naruto. When Orochimaru cut the access to the QB's chakra to Naruto, he kept his healing powers, confirming the healing is a power of Naruto himself. Finally, this healing power can be one of the reason why Minato chose Naruto for the sealing. He was the only one with chances of surviving the process. That's it for this video. I hope you all enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and follow me on my other social media accounts. Anime God here, and I'm signing off.